Hello, and welcome back to another sergmanx video. Today's video, I'm talking about several Game Boy Advance games you should definitely check out. And starting off this list, we have Super Monkey Ball Jr. Now, I think this game is a technical achievement for the Game Boy Advance. Now, if you never had a GameCube and couldn't experience Super Monkey Ball on there, I feel like Super Monkey Ball Jr. is a competent entry in the franchise. If you have never played a Super Monkey Ball game, basically the objective to the game is to make it through the various courses while rolling in a ball, manipulating the map around you in order to gain momentum to reach the goal. Levels start off fairly easy enough, but as you progress deeper into the game, levels become way more complicated and elaborate, as you have to deal with rotating platforms and various obstacles that prevent you from getting to the goal and beating the level. There's a decent amount of content in this game, and of course it features multiplayer, so if you have a friend with a link cable, you can definitely play some cool Monkey Ball minigames. But overall, this was a cool thing for the Game Boy Advance. I think it's pretty impressive how this game was translated into the handheld, so check it out if you're curious to see how this game plays. You'll have a good time with it. Next up, we have Konami Crazy Racers. Now, if you played Mario Kart Super Circuit to death and want something new to experience, definitely check out Konami Crazy Racers, as this was like the golden age of Konami, as it features some of the most iconic characters throughout various franchises that they created, such as Dracula from Castlevania, and one of my favorite characters from Metal Gear Solid, Gray Fox. Who would have ever thought we'd see a chibi-style Gray Fox in a cart racing around Shadow Moses Island? I think that's really cool, and it makes me excited as a old-school Konami fan. As for the gameplay itself, it's pretty standard. If you played Mario Kart Super Circuit, you know what to expect here. You grab items, you can use that to attack your foes during the race, and unlike Mario Kart Super Circuit, there are actually unlockable characters in the game, so I'm not going to spoil that for you. Definitely play the game and check it out for yourself. This is an extremely fun racing game. I might actually prefer it over Mario Kart Super Circuit. This game just has a lot of charm to it, and I could tell the developers were really passionate about this game when they created it. Definitely check this one out. You won't be disappointed with the amount of fun you'll have with this. Next up, we have SpongeBob SquarePants Super Sponge. I actually got this game many years ago for Christmas when the game released, and my expectations were pretty low, but upon playing the game, I actually had a really fun time with it. The game looks pretty good visually, as most of the game is 2D, but occasionally some of the background elements, such as the vegetation and even some of the enemies you fight, have kind of like a 3D look to it, and I think that gives the game a interesting identity to it. The gameplay is pretty simplistic, but it doesn't have to be complicated. This is just a simple, fun 2D platformer, and that's all I can really ask for. The music is surprisingly catchy. I wasn't expecting much from the soundtrack, but once you go to the first level with Jellyfish Fields, that song will get stuck in your head. I don't care who you are. That is a very addicting tune to listen to. SpongeBob SquarePants Super Sponge really caught me by surprise. This game is a really fun 2D platformer, and if you are a fan of classic SpongeBob, this game will appeal to you. All the levels are references from episodes from the show, so there's a lot to see and a lot to do. So definitely check out this game, you will enjoy it. The House of the Dead franchise is one of my favorite light gun games of all time. And I like it when the House of the Dead franchise goes into some weird directions, such as Typing of the Dead. And in this case, we have the Pinball of the Dead. This is a really fun pinball game, as there's a lot going on in the stages with the various zombies roaming around the map. There are boss fights in the game, a variety of different tables to play on, and there are objectives that you can accomplish. So there's a lot more to this game than simple pinball mechanics. This game has decent pinball physics compared to other pinball games I've played, and I have to take note of the soundtrack. Each of the 3 tables really has some catchy tunes, and it definitely helps because no matter how good a game of pinball can get, the game will definitely feel repetitive the longer you are on each of the tables trying to get the highest score. So that's why having a fantastic soundtrack is mandatory for these kind of games. The Game Boy Advance is no stranger to pinball games. We have Pac-Man pinball, Mario pinball, we have a Sonic pinball game, but I think the Pinball of the Dead is the best pinball game on the Game Boy Advance. It's a very unique game, and the House of the Dead franchise transitions well, surprisingly, to a game of pinball. So, if you're looking for something new, unique, a little horror splashed in, you gotta play the Pinball of the Dead. It is a fantastic game. Frogger's Adventure, Temple of the Frog, takes the basic gameplay of Frogger and expands it to a whole adventure, a quest to get to the Temple of the Frog. As you'll go through the various levels, you need to collect the elemental stones in order to finish a level. Now, normally I hate games where you need to collect an item to beat the level, but in this case, it is next to impossible to overlook a elemental stone. I have to admit, this game can get pretty hard at times, as you have to carefully jump to different platforms, watch out for the various enemies that are patrolling the level, and this game actually features boss fights, which are okay, not the best boss fights I've ever seen on the Game Boy Advance, but it breaks up the action. The levels feature some cool moments here and there, such as flying on a magic carpet or going on a little roller coaster around the level to collect the various elemental stones. So this game has a lot of variety with the environments too. So if you're looking for something different with the Frogger franchise instead of the classic game where you just need to go across the highway and not get hit by cars, this game provides something different, so check it out. Next up, we have Mega Man and Bass. Now, a lot of you might have just stayed with the Mega Man Battle Network franchise on the Game Boy Advance and not even realize there was a port of the Super Famicom game of Rockman and Forte brought here for the first time, translated and Game Boyified. Now, a lot of you might not know that Mega Man 8 is my favorite Mega Man game in the classic franchise, so it's cool to see the return of the Mega Man 8 sprite, and a lot of the assets are also reused. But that doesn't matter because the gameplay is absolutely fantastic here, although I have to say this is definitely one of the hardest games in the Mega Man franchise. Unlike other Mega Man games, where you have the option to choose any 8 of the Robot Masters stage to go through, in Mega Man and Bass, you only have 3 choices to start out with, and as you beat those levels, more options will become available to you to proceed, along with different Robot Master fights. But what also makes this game unique is the ability to not only play as Mega Man, but also Bass. So, Mega Man is pretty basic. He has his charge shot, slide, and whatnot. Bass can double jump, he can dash, and he can shoot in multiple different directions, although his Bass Buster isn't quite as strong as the Mega Buster. Mega Man and Bass is a really fun game when it comes down to it, although the challenge is pretty high. Once you master the various stages and boss patterns, this game shouldn't be too difficult with enough trial and error. Last but not least, we have Sonic Battle, a really fun Sonic game on the Game Boy Advance. Now, I feel like this game is also forgotten, as most of the Sonic fanbase only talks about Sonic Advance 1, 2, and 3. This game is extremely fun, as you can pick some of your favorite Sonic the Hedgehog characters, such as Sonic, obviously, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Shadow, Rouge, and plenty of unlockable characters. And you basically get dropped into a stage, you pick your special ability, and you go to town on your opponent with various special techniques. Each KO grants you a point, and depending on your win conditions, when the timer runs out, you are the winner of the match. There is a single player component to the game, but I feel like the single player really is just a tutorial on helping you learn how to play the game, so that when you fight the computer players or your friends, you'll be set and know what to do. And that's pretty much it with Sonic Battle. If you're able to meet the conditions required to play with a human opponent, you're going to have a lot of fun with this game. If not, the CPU is still a fun time. And that's been it for my GBA Hidden Gems video. Thank you all for watching. If there's a game not featured in this video that I should check out, definitely let me know in the comments below. And as always, this has been another sergmanx video. Have a good one, and peace out.
Super Retro Force.
If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and comment below your thoughts on today's topic. Please consider subscribing to the channel and hit that bell to be notified when the next sergmanx video drops. Have a good one.